Tyler Oliveira finally put out his video on the Indian invasion in Texas. And here on this channel, we've talked about it several times at this point. So first things first, you guys have some required watching. If you haven't already seen it, I'm going to put a link to his video in the description and in the pinned comment. I don't usually pin comments, but I'm going to do it in this video. And I want you to go watch his video before you watch this. Because we're going to talk about certain things. I'm probably not going to use clips, but really just going to be talking about the video and about, what's going on. And here I don't really want to do what I've been doing to where I kind of like make a lot of jokes about Indians and just kind of make fun of them sometimes. Because I've already done that. I've kind of already made all the jokes that I could make at this point. And also, like, when it comes to Indians and their whole culture, whether it's back home in their own country or when they go to other countries, it's very easy to make fun of them. It is probably the most low-hanging fruit when it comes to a group of people that they constantly just do things that give them negative aura or are just weird. Because quite frankly, their culture just doesn't really mix well with almost any other culture. Not even just American, but really any Western culture. And it's super easy to make fun of them. So I might make a joke or whatever. I don't know. There's no script to this video. But that's not like the point of this. The point is to have a conversation with you about these things. And maybe this will be a video you can share to somebody else. And it won't freak them out like my other videos. But if you don't already know, currently in America, there is a big debate around illegal citizens, people who come here illegally. And they always say, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. You should come here legally. But now there's a conversation of, well, what does legal immigration look like? Because we're finding out almost every other day, more and more, legal immigration in a lot of ways is just as crooked and just as morally reprehensible as the illegal immigration. And a big part of that is with H-1B fraud. You saw it with the Somalis and their fraud with the state in Minnesota. And now what's happening with this video, and this is why I recommend you watch it, is Tyler is exposing H-1B fraud in Texas. And there's actually more fraud going on in Texas with Indians than there is in like most other states with most other groups. And to anyone who would think, well, this is Texas, I don't have to worry about this right now, just know that what's happening in Texas is a precursor to what will happen in your own state, in your own city. And even if you live in some rural town or you live on a farm somewhere, maybe, and you think it really wouldn't affect me, it would in some way. Eventually, it would affect you and your family. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. But also, mind you, I am still a little sick. So if I sound weird, I don't know if I will, but if I do, that's what's going on. So what's happening in Texas, and you see it with this video, and it was pretty impressive. He did a very good job. The fraud that is being either protected by the governor, like Greg Abbott.
As long as I'm governor of this great state, Texas will be a land for the Indian community, a land for absolute. And we will continue to celebrate Diwali here in the great state of Texas. So happy Diwali, everybody. Happy Diwali.
This dude is doing deals with the Indian government and businesses from India, and he is potentially working with them hand in hand to bring in as many as possible. Some people would say, well, that's not a problem. It's fine. It's going to help the state. It grows their GDP. It increases their population numbers, and in doing so increases tax revenue and creates jobs. And that's what all these people say. I see a lot of people defending this. And that's where it always goes to, is jobs and money. Because apparently that's all that matters in America is jobs and money. But funny enough, the jobs aren't actually for real Americans. They don't go to them. They go to more Indians. And the money, essentially, we know what that all gets used for. It never actually gets used for anything purposeful in any of the states, really. It gets used and sent to our greatest ally, or it gets used in ways to where your own state government takes that money and uses it to fund more businesses like this. companies like this, incentivizing more people, more Indians to come into the state and to kind of just rinse and repeat, just do it over and over and over again. And that's how the population is growing so fast. And one of the things you'd notice if you saw this video is how many of these people who live here, most of them weren't born in America. Most of them, when asked if you had to choose between America first or India, what would you choose? Almost all of them say India. Now, I'm sure there are people that say America first. In fact, in the video, there's a guy who says, I am America first. And he says, well, I am running for government to protect whatever. But here's the problem. He himself, he's not American. He's from India. And something you have to understand, when these people say they're America first, they're not America first in the way you or I might be. They're America first from the point of view that America is an idea. There's actually a guy who's on a city council in this video who even says that he's Indian, and he's kind of giving his rebuttal to all the citizens that came and kind of gave them a piece of their mind about what's all going on with the fraud and with the population growth. Because I think in Frisco, Texas, the population is like 30% Indian or close to 30%. It's high. And it wasn't like that for forever up until like less than a decade ago. That's a crazy amount of people coming into one place. And you know what this city councilman says? He says America is an idea that someone has in their heart. This is something we hear a lot. This is something we see a lot of people, even conservatives and Republicans, say because they don't want to be racist. Which is kind of funny because they will go above and beyond to say that they don't care about being called racist by a liberal or a Democrat. But then when it comes to something like this, they'll say something like this because they really don't actually want to be called racist. And you don't even have to be racist to disagree with this. This is just the idea that all America is a piece of paper. All America is an idea. Anybody who wants to come here and roll up their sleeves and get a pickup truck, according to the Indian GOP leader, a pickup truck, they can start working and they can make a name for themselves and they can become American. They can become a Texan and make the world a better place, make America a better place. It's that idea, the melting pot philosophy that a lot of these people have. What does that mean when someone says America is just an idea? What they're saying is America would still be America if all of my people were here and if all of your people were dead. That's what that means. It is not the idea that you think it is. It is the idea that people who are coming in and conquering your land, they'll turn around and tell you, oh, it's fine. It's fine because once you're all dead and your bloodline is completely gone and there's no more whites and there's no more heritage Americans, it will still be America. So you don't have to worry. You can die with honor. That's what that means. Somebody would say, that's a little too extreme, Tom. What are you talking about? But yet, where does that ideology lead to? It's leading to exactly that. And we're finding out more and more constantly. Boomers, they're waking up and they're like, why is America so different than when it used to be? And then you'll say, well, demographic change plays a pretty big role in that. And they'll ignore it because the idea of that is heresy to them. And they deny it, even though it's in front of their face. It's directly in front of their face and they're denying it. Because for them to admit that is for them to admit that their entire lives they were wrong. Almost as if they were taught the wrong thing and that's what they believed. And it didn't lead to whatever they thought it would lead to. It's leading to the opposite. And it turns out when you do have insane amounts of diversity, you don't have a more unified city or a more unified country. You actually have a city that segregates itself. Not even by law, just by preference. People segregate themselves to their own, and some people have this idea, well, it's all based off ideas and beliefs. That's what people, they like being with their own, and it only goes as far as ideology. And it's like, no, it actually goes to race all the time, because there are people that think that their race is all that matters, and they do segregate themselves. And so with this idea with you can import whoever, and as long as they just have the idea of America in their heart, America will be better for it. The heritage people who have had an ancestry here for generations and generations, their children's future will be better for it. It's a lie. And that's the whole point. The melting pot philosophy was never what the founding fathers intended. In fact, what was one of the last things Abraham Lincoln was trying to do before he died, after he freed the slaves? You want to know what it is? If you didn't already know, he was trying to send the slaves away. They never intended America to be a place where it was all these different races getting together. That was never the goal. And constantly over time, the idea of America, what America is, what an American is, constantly changed. And now we're at a point to where it is you can import people on a student visa. They can stay here, do school, and then as they're doing school, they can apply for a H-1B visa, get approved, and before they ever have to leave, they can get a job from a company that just so happened to fire a bunch of Americans so they could hire more H-1B visa holders. And so you're finding out a lot of these people who come here and who get on this system, they don't even just apply overseas and come over. They've been over since 18 years old. Ever since they could go to college, they've been here and they stay here and they don't have a citizenship and they keep staying here until eventually they get the ability to vote. And when they do, they always vote for their own. So when you see these people that say, oh, but I am America first. I don't like India. I am America first. Like this dude, and then he talks about how he's running for government. What does that lead to? It leads to him being America first, but yet he's constantly only supporting not only himself for government, but for others that think just like him, which they will always choose their own. If they had to pick between a traditional American that has an ancestry here and a birthright here, a real birthright, not this fucking fake bullshit birthright citizenship, as soon as they have to choose between that person and their own, even if choosing their own means bringing them over in real time from India, they choose their own. And why wouldn't they? It would be insane for them not to. They would be crazy to not do that. So this idea that they're constantly choosing their own, they're constantly picking their own side, of course they are. And what does that lead to? It leads to an entire population of people who are here on visas being able to construct entire statues. The third tallest statue in America was constructed by people who are living here on visas. Is it all of them? Of course not. But even the ones that are here legally, they got here through some loophole in the system. They got here being accepted by some person in the system. They have lawyers that protect them. They have politicians that work with them. Not even just the governor, Greg Abbott, local politicians, city council members, they're all in on it. All of them. They have so much protection. This subject, talking about this, is more taboo than talking about Israel right now. That's very concerning for me. And it should be just as concerning to you. Because that means this is actually the one subject they don't want you to know about. This is the one subject they don't want you talking about. And there's a reason for that. And a lot of people would say, I mean, if you were in their position, you would do the same thing. Of course I would. I think any of us would do the same thing. We're not disagreeing there. Just like if I was doing the same thing and if I was here and if I had to choose between voting for somebody who is going to go against my people or voting for somebody who was only going to put my people in this nation first, I'm always choosing my own. And that's what they do. They do it constantly, and they would be stupid not to. So this idea that if you were them, you would do the same, how dare you judge? What the fuck does that even mean? Of course I would. But you have to understand, it's different for you. In no way does you acknowledging that and then folding and being like, oh, you're right, I should support them being here. That doesn't help you whatsoever. That's stupid. It's different for you. Understand that. If you were them, you would do the same. Yeah, but you're not. If I was them, I would be doing all the same shit. But yeah, I'm not. I was born here. My family lives here. My ancestry is from here. I've even said this before. Just because I'm white doesn't mean I can move to some white country that isn't America and I can fit in. A lot of people, they get mad when you talk about this stuff and they say, oh, well, you should move to Poland. I can't move to Poland. You want to know why? Because I'm not Polish. I can't move to Poland because I'm not Polish and I don't follow their traditions. I'm an American. You could have Australia, and I like Australia. I like a lot of the Australians. A lot of you watch me. I have a lot of respect for you. But let's say Australia was only a white country, a white continent, whatever. And if someone said, oh, go move there because there's a bunch of white people that live there, I'm not Australian. I'm American. I can love my white Australian brothers and the Polish brothers. I can love them. I can support them, and I do, but I'm not them. And quite frankly, I don't want to live there. And it's nothing against you. I have respect for you. It's because I want to be here. This is my home. I was born here. So just because if I was born somewhere else and if I was brown and if I would be doing things differently doesn't mean that because I'm not that and I'm actually the opposite of that, I have to be okay with it and I have to accept it. That is insanity. That is insane. That is a betrayal of what the founding fathers envisioned this country to be. That is a betrayal of your future children's birthright to this nation. It's insulting to all of that. So no, you don't have to be okay with that. And just understand that's what that means. When people say that America is just an idea and that's the end of it, it's not a people, it's not a heritage. That's what they're saying, ultimately, is that if you were dead and if your family was dead and if you were no longer here, it would be fine. It would be okay. And all the Native Americans that live here that think that and support that slowly but surely over the years, they wake up and they start saying, oh, why is the country so different? I thought America was an idea. Well, it turns out when you import people that don't really believe that, turns out when you import people that have a completely different culture than you and refuse to assimilate, what do you think building that statue is in Texas? What do you think building those temples are? You think that's them assimilating? No, it's them bringing their traditions and their beliefs over, which completely contradict yours. And then people wake up and they say, well, how is America not the same, if not better? Why is it worse? Why does everything look like shit? It's because you thought America was just an idea. So you brought as many people over to replace you. And turns out that's what they're doing. They're replacing you, including your traditions and your beliefs, and eventually your entire basis of a country. That's where it's leading. And even when you have this super insane, diverse version of America, what does that look like? It looks like, what? America's just little Italy, little China, little India, little trailer park, little white people village. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of fucking broken up knick-knack versions of other nations, and that's what it is ultimately. And the more and more we head in that direction, the less unified we become. So I get it. I understand. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't get why these people aren't trying to come here. In India, they have a caste system, which in my opinion is extremely horrible, dude. It's fucked up. There is literally an entire group of people, tens, if not close to 100 million, probably hundreds of millions of people who are born at the very lowest bottom of their hierarchical system, their caste system. They're called untouchables. These people are literally like animals, even in their own nation, to their own. They are seen as less than human. They live like animals, and the people who are above them treat them like animals. In a lot of ways, it's worse than slavery. It is actually worse than slavery. These people, when you're born with that name and that group, you're basically homeless, you're basically eating dead animals and trash. It's horrific the way those people have to live. So I understand those who are in that system or maybe slightly above or whatever, in any part of the caste system, I can get why they don't want to be there and they want to leave. I can understand. I'm not retarded. I get it. But I'm not that. And I'm not them. And my job and the point of my country and the point of my family and my people is not to save them. It's to save my own. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that. They think that's selfish or they think that's unchristian. It's not selfish and it's not unchristian. You know what it is? It's your responsibility. When you are born into a nation, you have a responsibility to that nation. You have a responsibility to your family. There's no difference between you defending your family against a foreign, legal immigration invasion that is being propped up by your own government and all these corporations. There's no difference in protecting your family against that than protecting your family against an intruder with a shotgun at 3 a.m. in the morning. It is the same thing. One is violence at the very beginning. Another is violence later on. Creating a country where white people become more and more of a minority in their own nation, where you're constantly bringing in people that hate them, is not really a good recipe. That's not going to lead to anything fruitful for your children. That's going to lead to a nation where your children will be hated, despised, and in a lot of ways, it's going to get violent against them because people are going to want to hurt them, especially if you're bringing in people who don't come from civilized countries where you don't attack others, where you actually, you have some level of restraint. We see it more and more all the time. Just people who have no control over their emotions, over themselves, and they're violent. And we always say, why are they like that? There's a lot of reasons. In this video, Tyler, not only does he expose that, but he exposes a bunch of the fraud. It's no different than the stuff that happened in Minnesota, where people go and they see there's some H-1B tax-funded organization, business, whatever, that's at a building that's empty, that's registered somewhere where nobody goes. In fact, there's one place he goes to where there's multiple H-1B residencies registered there, and people are receiving money for it, taxpayer money. And you know where it's located? You know where it's registered to? A fucking mailbox. They go outside of this one place, they ask this lady, they're like, hey, where's this building at? She's like, any number in this area for a unit that's over 200 doesn't exist. Because he's asking, where's building 213 or where's building 504? She's like, no, I don't think you get it. Any business that has a number that's over 200 is only to a mailbox. There is no building. They're all registered to a fucking mailbox. It's crazy. You need to go watch the video. I know some of you didn't watch it. I'm telling you, pause this video, go watch the video, come back. And I've talked about it here on the channel before with the H-1B fraud. A lot of the stuff people are bringing up is stuff I've already mentioned before. You can go back and see. I have receipts on my videos when I'm talking about H-1Bs and Indians in Texas and America. But we've seen it here. Entire companies that fire all their American workers, hire H-1B, and then you have the other end of it, where is they fire all their American employees and get rid of all their H-1B employees, and they move all the jobs to India. They literally move them, ship them overseas. That's happening in Trump's America. And it happened in his first term, it's happening in his second term, it happened in the Biden administration. We're supposed to be creating industry here, bringing jobs here. And yet it seems like every time we're doing that, it's only for foreigners. And then on the opposite end of stuff, we're actually shipping jobs over to other countries. Fuck all these corporations. This is a great betrayal of America. From the politicians on all sides, from the legal system, from the corporations and the companies, they're always doing some shit. They're always trying to fuck us over. That's what it is. These corporations, if you are somebody who defends this version of capitalism, you need to reevaluate your life. You truly do at this point in time. Because these corporations, these companies, the only thing they've tried to do in my entire life is either try to turn Americans into slave workers, and when that doesn't work, it's to ship those jobs somewhere else where they can have slave workers. That is the extent of all these corporations' loyalty to Americans. These American companies, their loyalty to their own people is to either turn them into fucking wage slaves, where they can pay them nothing and give them nothing, and if that doesn't work, we'll just abandon them entirely and go somewhere where they can do that with ease. That is their loyalty to you and to your fellow Americans. So if you're defending that, I don't even know what to say to you, man. There's nothing I can say to you. There really isn't. There's nothing I can tell you. There's nothing I can point to, because as long as the GDP just keeps going up, that's all that matters. And this idea of GDP, this idea of all these things, people keep talking about how like that's the only thing that really counts. Oh, well, even though the country looks like shit and it doesn't feel the same and everybody is segregating themselves and everybody hates their neighbor, as long as the GDP is going up, it's fine. Look at the numbers under Trump. It's so good. The economy is great, guys. You can't afford groceries and you can't do anything and gas sucks. But you know what? The GDP is up. The Dow is over 50,000. Okay? So you know what? You're right. I should be embarrassed that I'm even saying these things. I should be whipped. They should take me out back and whip me and shoot me in the head because of how ungrateful I am. Because the GDP is amazing and the Dow was over 50,000. My bad, guys. I'll retire right now. I'll give up right now. You're right. Is it all Indians' fault? No, it isn't. Obviously, it isn't. There's a lot of different groups. But the big thing with Indians, compared to really most other groups, is that their culture, their way of life, their traditions, they really do not mix. at all with traditional Americana, with traditional American values. They just do not. Not with our religion, not with our heritage. And you're seeing that more and more. And if you think I'm lying, you can find a liberal. And I've even had conversations with liberals I know. People that are completely on the opposite side of me, but I'm still friends with them and I have conversations with them. And I've asked them before, hey, what do you think of Indians? And they'll still have like the same opinions I do. Because for literally everybody on all sides of the spectrum, all sides of the political spectrum, you have like the same interactions. You have the same first impressions, second impressions, third impressions, 50th impressions with all these Indians. And they're negative most of the time. Am I saying some Indians can't assimilate? No, obviously that's not true. Obviously you can find someone, of course. But when it's a bunch of them, when it's a group of them, and when they have to pick between you and their own, what do? They pick their own. And they would be stupid not to. So when you see this guy in this Tyler video who's saying, I am America first, this Indian man, I disagree. You're not America first. Because if you were America first, you wouldn't even be here. So no, you're not. And the idea that you have that America is just something you have in your heart, and it's just a piece of paper, I reject that. I reject that ideology. I not only reject on it, I fucking piss on that ideology. I will set that ideology on fire and burn it to ashes and fucking piss on the ashes. It is not what it is to be an American. It's just to fucking have the idea of America in your heart. What the fuck is that bullshit? You think if I went to some other country and if I said that, oh, it's fine. It's fine, I can take over your neighborhoods and your jobs because it's really like the idea of Mexico and being a Mexican in your heart. It's really the idea of being a Jew and being Jewish in your heart and being Israeli, and that's why I can be here and take over your nukes. You think if I fucking went there and said that, they would be okay with that? No, they wouldn't. They would have the same reaction I'm having, if not more violence. So, no, it's not. And what's going on in America, what's going on in Texas, if you think it's not that important, it is. This is possibly the most important conversation to be had at this point in time. You want to know why? Because people are not having it. You might think you are, not enough people are. The media is really backing down from this. They will talk about Israel, they will talk about Gaza, they will talk about the war in Iran all day, every day. They'll talk about all of that. They will not mention this whatsoever. This is something that is actually actively being suppressed. So this is the most important conversation to be had. If you're an American, yes. And I would imagine if you live in a Western country, chances are it's probably happening there as well. I don't know to what extent, because I'm only an American. But this is something that needs to be said. This is a conversation we need to have. And since Tyler put out this video, it's time to do that. It's time to go hard on this issue. And I mean, we have to go hard on a lot, but that's kind of the whole point. When you're fighting a multi-front war, you don't just focus on one thing. Trust me, if this goes unnoticed, if you do not talk about this, you might not live in Texas. It might not bother you, but trust me, it will. And it's going to happen a lot sooner than you think. And when it gets to that point, they're going to have more control over you because they go after local power. Not just state power, not just government power. They're getting on your city council. They're getting on your school board. That's going to have more of an effect on your life than the governor or even the president personally, because that's directly to you. That's directly to your kids. So that's what's to be said. And I'll leave it off on this. In the video that Tyler made, towards the end, a guy had it pretty spot on. Tyler asked this guy, he was like, do you think Americans are stupid and that's why they constantly bring in all these foreigners to work these jobs? You think that's really what's going on? Do you think Americans were just all dumb? And the guy says, no, I don't think they're stupid, but we're definitely naive. We're raised thinking that we live in a high trust society. And because we live in a high trust society, we don't expect groups of people to come in here and to work for themselves and for their own at the detriment of everyone else. We don't think as Americans that other so-called Americans and people who have some type of green card or whatever would be capable of doing that and would be willing to do that because we think we live in a high trust society. We no longer do. We haven't lived in a high trust society for a very long time. And so we are naive and we have to stop that. And this is part of it. It's having these conversations. So share Tyler's video with your friends and your family. Share this video with your friends and your family. Have this talk with your family. The only way people are going to find out is if it spreads by word of mouth. And then eventually it will get to a point to where the media will have to pay attention to it, but it's not there. They are really trying to suppress it. Even if you see it here or there, they're not talking about it. They are not talking about it. And if you want to know the difference, you're seeing it now. You saw Nick Shirley expose the fraud in Minnesota, and it blew wide open. Everybody was talking about it every day for weeks. Meanwhile, this fraud has been getting exposed for literally months. Silence. Radio silence. There's a reason for that. Your enemy doesn't want you talking about this more than you talking about war in Iran or Gaza or even Jewish control in your own government, which is alarming. But that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to say today on this topic. We will probably end up doing more videos on this in the future. Obviously, more stuff is going to be coming out, but I would urge and I would ask other YouTubers, other creators who are similar to me to talk about this subject. I've done that before. I really would like to ask you to do it again because we need to not stop. We need to go hard on this subject and we need to do it now. But what do you think? What do you think about all this? What do you believe? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there anything I missed, which I'm sure there is? If so, please let me know below in the comments. And also, if you did enjoy the video, then go ahead, like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification to get notified when I upload in the future. Check out my other videos, share this video with a friend, with a family member, and, check me out on Rumble. I have exclusives on Rumble. I have uncensored videos on Rumble. And follow me on X. I'm always posting on X. But in the meantime, guys, as always, Jesus Christ is King of Kings, Lord of Lords, America first only. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all later.